There's times in your life when things are going to happen that you've got to begin to put your dream on hold. And you might have to reinvent yourself. It's called life. And don't tell everybody about it. 80% don't care, and 20% glad it's you. You have to suck it up and handle it. That's what it's called being in business. Being an entrepreneur, being a risk taker, walking by faith and not by sight. Stuff happens to you. And so I had to go in a new direction. How many of you like me had periods in your life when you were temporarily insane? See, there are some people, one of the goals I have is training 100,000 voices of hope outside of politics and outside of religion, both of which I believe unwittingly polarize and divide people, and teach people how to deliver a message of hope and give people methods and techniques that will help them to change their lives and begin to move their lives to another level. You have something special. You have greatness within you. That story that you have can impact people's lives. Mike Williams talked to me, and it changed my life. It began to expand my vision. That's in your future. Shake somebody's hand on your right and left and say, that's in my future. That's in my future. Everybody point at me right now. Point at me right now. Point at me lovingly right now. Say, Les Brown. Everybody together say, Les Brown. If you can do it, I can do it. And this time when you say, I can do it, say it with conviction. Point at me again. Les Brown. If you can do it, I can do it. Shake someone's hand and you're ready and left and say, I'm ready to play a bigger game. Do that right now. Say, I'm ready to play a bigger game.
If you chase your passion, if you, listen to me, I know what I was born to do. If you told me right now, how can you fill $5 million, E.T., but you can never do another TGIM. You can never go into another school. You can never go to another college. You can never motivate anybody for the rest of your life. No more motivation, no more inspiration. I would tell you, keep your $5 million. Why? Because this is what I was born to do. And what I've discovered, that you got to pass up on good to get to great.
And one day, you're going to be in a nursing home. And the biggest thing that you're going to hope for is that there's someone standing right there beside you. So when you're on your deathbed, how will your legacy ripple? Are you going to make a big splash? Or are you going to be a tiny little pebble in the pond? How many people will show up to that funeral of yours? How many people did you positively impact that your time expiring will make them cry because you're not here anymore to have an effect on them? I want you to place yourself in the eyes of death, because death is going to set you free. How are you going to leave this earth? Will you be remembered? How will you be remembered? Your life is not done yet. So now is the time to go after everything you want. Time will expire one day. So you gotta beat the clock.
People in my life right now, are they contributing to my growth and development? Are they making me a better person? What I'm doing right now, is it nourishing me? Does it empower me? Is it giving me what I need out of my life right now? Is it challenging to me? Is it making me stretch mentally and emotionally and spiritually? Is it getting the best out of me? See, this is the only life you've got. So you don't want to squander it doing something you don't want to do, feeling you can't do any better. You can do better. You should do better. You deserve to do better. You're entitled to that. That is your right to do better.
I was born in a poor section of Miami, Florida called Liberty City. I was born in an abandoned building on a floor with a twin brother. And when we were 6 weeks of age, we were adopted. And when I was in the 5th grade, I was identified as EMR, labeled educable, mentally retarded, put back from the 5th grade into the 4th grade. And I failed again when I was in the 8th grade. I don't have any college education, but because of my mother, and I feel like Abraham Lincoln, who said, all that I am and all that I ever hope to be, I owe to my mother. But I'll never forget when I met Mr. Washington. I was in a class waiting on another student, and he came in and he said, young man, go to the board and work this problem out for us. I said, oh, sir, I can't do that. He said, why? I said, I'm not one of your students. He said, look at me. I said, yes, sir. Go to the board and work the problem out anyhow. I said, sir, I can't do what you're asking me to do. He said, why? Sir, because I'm educable mentally retarded, sir. And as the students erupted in laughter, he came from behind his desk, he looked at me and he said, don't you ever say that again. Someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality. And that was a turning point in my life. On one hand, I was humiliated. But on the other hand, I was liberated. Because he looked at me with the eyes of Goethe, who said, look at a man the way that he is. He only becomes worse. But look at him as if he were what he could be. Then he becomes what he should be.
You have greatness in you. You have the ability to do more than you can ever begin to imagine. I don't even know you, but I'm telling you what I know from my own experience. And greatness, ladies and gentlemen, greatness, it's a choice. It's not your destiny. Most people never discover their greatness. Most people, ladies and gentlemen, go to their graves living a life of mediocrity.
One day, you're gonna die. And that's not me being negative. That's the cold, hard truth. So I want you to face that reality right now. And I want you to take a good look at your life right now as it is. If you died tomorrow, how would you look back on your life? Would you be proud to be buried? Or would you feel like your life was incomplete? So looking at death straight in the face right now will set you free. What are the things you didn't do that you wanted to? Did you want to start a business? Did you want to start a charity? What aspirations did you have as a child that fell by the wayside because you got caught up in that routine? Because you told yourself that you had bills, or that you told yourself that you're not good enough, or because you didn't want to utilize your time effectively. You chose sleeping 10 hours. You chose the safety net. You stayed in your routine and you didn't want to bust out of that comfort zone.
The separation of talent and skill is one of the greatest misunderstood concepts for people who are trying to excel, who have dreams that want to do things. Talent you have naturally. Skill is only developed by hours and hours and hours of beating on your craft. I just believe that. I believe that I can create whatever I want to create. We didn't grow up with the sense that where we were was where we were going to be. You know, we grew up with the sense that where we were almost didn't matter because we were becoming right. Something greater. I've never really viewed myself as particularly talented. Where I excel is ridiculous, sickening work ethic. You know, while the other guy's sleeping, I'm working. While the other guy's eating, I'm working. There's no easy way around it. No matter how talented you are, your talent is going to fail you if you're not skilled. The first step before anybody else in the world believes it is you have to believe it. Make a choice. Like, you just decide what it's going to be, who you're going to be, how you're going to do it. Just decide. And then from that point, the universe is going to get out your way. It takes such a desperate, obsessive focus. You really got to focus with all of your fiber and all of your heart and all of your creativity. I'm motivated by fear. Fear. You know? Fear of what? Fear of fear. I hate being scared to do something. And I think what developed in my early days was the attitude that I started attacking things that I was scared of. You don't set out to build a wall. You don't say, I'm going to build the biggest, fattest, greatest wall that's ever been built. You don't start there. You say, I'm going to lay this brick as perfectly as a brick can be laid. And you do that every single day.
And soon you have a wall.
And soon you have a wall. You can't be scared to die for the truth. The truth is the only thing that's ever going to be constant.
Beyond boundaries. What a theme, huh? Beyond. Now, when I think of boundaries, I think of rules, regulations, and restrictions. But beyond boundaries is something different. I think of those leaders, those teachers, those supervisors, those parents who inspire us to go beyond the call of duty, to do more than we have to do it not because they tell us, but because we want to. How can we inspire people and ourselves to be self-motivated? Feeling empowered is when you're self-motivated. Now, if you want to know if you feel empowered, or if your child, your student, your worker feels empowered, ask them 3 questions. They say yes to these 3 questions, they will feel empowered. Question number 1, can you do it? Albert Bandura calls it self-efficacy. Do you believe you can do it? Do you have the time, the knowledge, and the training to do what we're asking you to do? Second question, will it work? Do you believe that we're asking you to do the process that will work? Albert Bandura calls that response efficacy, believing that the behavior will lead to the ultimate outcome. Training. You have your training department. There must be a difference. Because you know that training means you do the behavior and you get feedback. That's powerful. Training is watch the behavior, get online training. If you answer yes, it will work. Third question, is it worth it? Do you believe the consequences? This is about consequences. B.F. Skinner taught us this, selection by consequences. Dale Carnegie quoted B.F. Skinner and said, from the day you were born, everything you did was because you wanted something for doing it. Is it worth it? So you have to convince people that it's worth it. Now, by the way, if you answer yes to those 3 questions, you feel competent. When you feel confident at doing worthwhile work, you're more likely to be self-motivated. You've been there. No one has to be looking over you. You feel, now here's the challenge, leaders, teachers. How do you inspire people to feel competent? Well, you give them feedback. You give them recognition. When you perceive choice, you perceive motivation. You're more motivated. So the deal is, for yourself, sit back and reflect. Be mindful of the choices you have. And talk about being a success seeker rather than a failure avoider. It's all how you talk, how you communicate to yourself and to others. People who perceive a sense of relatedness, a sense of connection with other people, they feel motivated and they're happier. Put yourself in the situation. Be mindful. Think about the situation and what you would do. Choice. Your common sense will tell you. When you believe you have a sense of autonomy, a sense of choice in what you're doing, you feel more self-motivated.
Sometimes your life will be in a slump.
Just like sports. Some of the best shooters can't hit baskets different times in games. They get in a slump. Do they sit on the sideline and say, you know, I just didn't hit a basket today? No, they continue to execute. I suggest to you that if you are facing a challenge, don't stop. Stay busy. Work your plan. Continue to do those things that you know that work for you after you have evaluated yourself in the situation. Continue to move. Stay busy, stay busy, stay busy. Find somebody that you can help so you can forget about you for a moment. See, sometimes the best thing to do is to be. Sometimes you have to just back up and go within yourself. A bow and arrow, you can't take a bow and just push it out an arrow. You just can't push the arrow out. You have to pull it back and then release it. Sometimes you have to back up and go within and pray and meditate and recharge your batteries. Go away, clear your head, and then come back and look at it from a different vantage point. Don't operate while you're under the spell or the effect of what's going on. Next thing is that you've got to activate the thinker in you. Don't allow your emotions to control you. We are emotional, but you want to begin to discipline your emotion. If you don't discipline and contain your emotions, they will use you. You don't have to force yourself or motivate yourself to think negatively, to be depressed, to hate somebody, to want revenge, to want to get back at somebody, to beat yourself up over the head, to feel loaded with guilt. You don't have to make any effort to do that. Your mind is on automatic. It will do that by itself. If you want to begin to move into your own personal greatness, if you want to begin to really enjoy a happy, successful, healthy life, you've got to be willing to go against the tide. You've got to be willing to harness your will. This is what you stand for. You're standing up for your dreams. You're standing up for peace of mind. You're standing up for health. You want it, and you're going to go all out to have it. I'm unstoppable. This will not get me down.
$306,000. Now, there's something that we all have in common in this room. That's an account we all have. See, if I'm lucky enough to make it to age 90, 306,000 is the number of hours that I have left on this planet. It's my constant reminder of how fragile and temporary life is. You know, money is replaceable. Money we can get more of. But all of the money in the world couldn't buy anybody in this room an extra 60 seconds of time. One death per lifetime, per individual. See, the truth is, folks, I'm dying. Cause? Mortality. Live. See, there's a big difference between living and existing. This bank account is my constant reminder that I don't have an unlimited amount of time. Therefore, I don't get caught up in fluffing stuff. I don't spend my time on things that are not meaningful. I devote my time to things that give me richness in my life. And it also ensures that I don't become one of those individuals that ends up getting buried 30 years after I stop living. Well, Harry, what qualifies you to pontificate about this philosophy from up on high? Frankly, absolutely nothing. You're all free to go. I mean, the reality is I have 4 children. And as a father, I think I have a responsibility to those 4 kids to speak into their lives, maybe give them some advice or some perspective and some guardrails so they can enjoy the journey just as much as I have. So I guess in some ways I'm kind of hijacking the TED Talk today to capsulize my philosophy for my 4 children and my future grandchildren. I'm an entrepreneur.
which I understand is French for unemployed. As a result of doing some decent things in business, I built some value and attracted the attention of some of my peers. So I got asked to speak at conferences across the country. And as I spoke to these people across the country, invariably I'd weave my life philosophy into the talk. I mean, at the end of the day, I wanted to be authentic. And what was interesting is, at the end of the talk, these folks would come up to me and they were less interested in how I built a business and more interested in how I built a life. See, the reality is, folks, I have people in my office every day in their 50s that didn't become the rock stars that they wanted to be, that don't have the relationships they were hoping for, and don't have the type of health and vitality they were hoping for. They feel like losers. Their self-esteem and their self-worth is imploded. You know, I often wonder, is that because maybe they've wrapped their value around emblems and titles and status? What do we do with our children all the time? What do we ask them? What are you going to be when you grow up? What are you going to be when you grow up? What do you want to be when you grow up? They already be the moment they're born. They're already valuable and have huge potential the moment they're born. The question should be, what are you going to do when you grow up? I mean, I am willing to bet that the mental health profession is kept very busy by people that confuse what they do with who they are. You have to cast the vision for your life, be the architect of your life, so that you live your definition of success. See, attached to that balloon is a little basket, little brown basket. And that's the vehicle by which you travel. But what the basket actually is your job. Whether you're the butcher, the baker, or the candlestick maker. It's just simply a means by which to fund the journey. We live in a society that requires something called money. Therefore, this job creates the money to fund that beautiful vision you have for your life. You need to distance yourself in your life from toxic relationships, because it will definitely hold you back from where you want to go. You know, a life without meaning can be somewhat confusing. And inevitably, we go through storms in our life. And I believe by having a philosophy, a belief, something that that answers the question, what are we doing here? What does it all mean? See, that gives us the ability to anchor when we're going through those storms. And if you're human, you're going through a storm at some point. They say the best things in life are free. But the truth of the matter is, if your financial house is not in order, it robs you of enjoying everything that's important to you. See, if you're physically in the backyard with your children playing a game, but you're mentally trying to figure out how to pay off your MasterCard, I'll tell you right now, you're missing the moment. It's being stolen from you. The truth of the matter is, you're not driving the right car, and you're not living in the right house, and you're not wearing the right clothes. Clearly. It's a good thing the fashion police aren't here. But it gets us in that consuming, that consumption mode, where we always think the next purchase is going to make us happy, or the next purchase is going to be when we arrive. Material things do not legitimize who we are. That's one of the big problems. Again, just going back to what we do does not reflect our value as human beings. What my kids do for a living doesn't diminish nor detract from who they are as human beings. We're living our lives upside down, and it has to stop. One more thought before I go. I understand in other cultures that there's lots of people that sit at the feet of elders, and they drink in all their wisdom, and they listen because elders are revered. They've gone down that road. They have the experience. And the kids drink it in so they don't make the same mistakes, and so they can learn. In North America, not so much, huh? Elders are seniors kind of marginalize them, brush them aside, look through them. Not always, but sometimes. And now that I'm a senior, I'd like to lead the charge to change that. Anybody over 55 with me? Amazing study was done in North America of seniors just in their last days. If you could live your life all over again, what would you do differently? A massive study. This just wasn't done on the back of a napkin. Number one answer, I would have lived a more authentic life true to who I am. Number one answer. I wish I wasn't so concerned about what people thought. I wish I went with my definition of success. Secondly, I wish I took more risks. In other words, I regret the things I didn't do, not the things I did do. And third, and certainly not least, I wish I had maintained meaningful relationships with friends and family that fueled my soul. I wish I didn't let things go. I wish I would have put more effort in. Take this opportunity today to send a message to my kids and my future grandkids, and maybe you folks can benefit too. Some closing advice. Kids, please live a life that's authentic, true to who you are. Be the author of your definition of success. Secondly, invest in meaningful relationships. Maintain them. Let them fuel your soul. And third, no matter what you do, please don't go through life in a rocking chair with a seatbelt on.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to make it in life, you got to know your vitamin. You've got to know every no brings you a step closer to a yes. Anybody can stop because someone said no. But there's something in you, in your heart of hearts, that's saying, I'm not a quitter. There's something in you that says, I've got the will to do it. There's something in you that says, I'm going to find a way. People who can help you out and won't help you out because they know too much about you. And they don't believe, they can't see this new you. Don't allow those negative naysayers, the people who are suffering from possibility blindness, to stop you. Detoxify your life. Let all the negative people in your life go. Can I change them? No. It's a full-time job changing yourself. You are not like everybody else. You can walk outside and find pigeons, but if you're looking for eagles, it's going to take you a minute. You are different. And as you think about your goals and dreams, your personal goals, your financial goals, and whatever that number is, I want you to multiply it 100 times. And I want to warn you, don't ask yourself how you're going to do it. How is none of your business. I just want you to listen to me. You have something special. You have greatness within you. You have the ability to do more than anything you can ever begin to imagine. You have million-dollar ideas, billion-dollar ideas in you. There are people waiting to hear your voice. You have a vision of yourself doing more, achieving more, taking care of your family, making your mark, leaving a legacy. You were born to be successful. Is it easy? Of course it's not easy. It's challenging. It requires patience. It requires persistence. It requires a willingness to do whatever is required to create a new life for yourself.
Don't be afraid to close your eyes and dream, but then open your eyes and see. For a lot of people, the distance between their dreams and their reality is intimidating, and they get stuck. They get paralyzed, just like I was in that marathon. And the only way forward is to be real about what it's going to take for you to achieve those dreams. You have to be honest with yourself. You have to tell yourself the truth. You have to tell yourself the truth of what it's going to take for you to be successful. You cannot achieve success without failure.
That's why you are here. There's a voice in you that has said, I can do this. There's something in you, in your heart of hearts, that said, I'm not going to let anybody pull my strings. It said, I'm going to control my own personal economy. It said, I've got a dream I want to achieve. I want my children to have a choice of the kind of education that they want. That said, I am the captain of my ship. That said, I'm going to control my destiny. And whatever it takes, I'm willing to do the work. There was something in you that said, I've got to make this happen. There's something in you that said, there's a bigger life waiting for me, calling my name. There's something in you that says, I'm on my way to a greater life.
I want you to remember 3 things. Number 1, I want you to never be afraid to make a decision. Be decisive. Don't be afraid to fail. Be fearless. Number 2, I want you to remember the power of you. You gotta feel that power. You gotta believe in that power. You have that power, trust me. And last but not least, number 3, can't stop, won't stop.
The most important element is for you to be able to do this, to be able to establish, most importantly, where you really are in your life today. Where are you? And where do you really want to go? What's going to create this extraordinary life? And to look at it brand new. Because some of you right now, if you continue the direction you're going, are going to be successful and unfulfilled, unhappy, and stressed.
Are you satisfied with what you have produced? Is this what you want? Would you like for things to be better than this? Do you believe that you deserve better than this? Or are you content? This is it. You don't have to do anything else. That you'll already resign yourself in life and say, well, I'm happy. I'm not starving like the people in Calcutta. Are you allowing yourself to get off the hook like that? Or do you believe somewhere in the back of your mind or in your heart that there's some other great work for you to do? There's something else that life has for you. And that's why you're here. How do we handle this fear factor? How do we increase our self-esteem? You have to begin to fortify yourself. How do we do that? I believe that you have to begin to consciously monitor your inner conversation and start talking to yourself. Start building yourself up. Sometimes the only good things you will hear about you are the things that you say to you. So I'm saying learn to be your own booster. Start building yourself up. Start encouraging yourself. Start saying, I can do this. I can make this happen. It's a natural inclination for us to put ourselves down. See, we are born negative, I think, in a negative consciousness because we live in a negative world. So I'm saying that we have to work through the challenges of life in learning how to begin to work to fortify ourselves. Begin to guard your mind against negative programming, like turn off the television. So you've got to guard the kinds of things that you put in your mind. See, if you don't program your mind will be programmed because human beings are goal-oriented. That's why we die of broken hearts early. That's why we're running through life to early grave. Most of us go through life running scared. So we created this in our minds, false evidence appearing real. We made it real in our minds. There's nothing to fear but fear itself. That's the destructive monster. So turn off things that can contribute to your fear. Turn a deaf ear to people that all they can do is talk about how negative things are because they have bought into the consciousness of the world. Listen to things that can empower you, that can enable you to create a new reality for yourself, in a new life for yourself. What idea are you sitting on? Write your ideas down. And then, once you get that idea, take the leap. See, a lot of people get the ideas and just walk around with them. Take the leap. See, it's out here in the universe. If you don't take the plunge, I guarantee you, somebody else will. Take the plunge. Go into action. And ladies and gentlemen, you will be surprised at how things will come together. You'll be surprised. Now, you're going to have some difficult challenges. I can tell you that now. Be aware of that. Things are not going to work out exactly right. For a time they will, sometimes. And that's when life is just playing a game with you. But ladies and gentlemen, go into action with your dream. And don't avoid where the fights are. Get in the midst of the fight and get some hickeys on your head. Get knocked down so you can learn how to fight, so you can hold your position. See, most people don't get out in the arena of life because they don't want to fight. Most people don't get out there because they don't want to get knocked down. They don't want to be dropped to their knees. But see, you're going to be dropped whether you're on the field or whether or not you're sitting on the sidelines. You're going to be dropped. So at least get dropped for something. Don't get knocked down while you're sitting down. See, that's how most people are spectators in life. You don't want to be a spectator. You want to get out in the field where the action is, and you will be amazed. After the struggle, there will be a calm period, and things will begin to click for you. Come out here with what you got. You don't have enough money? Don't worry about it. You got the dream. You got the idea. You don't have enough resources? Don't worry about it. You need some help? Don't worry about it. You get out here in the arena, someone will look at you and become inspired and say, hey, can I help you? But if you're sitting up on the bleachers, nobody's going to ask you anything.
I think the big one is self-awareness. If you know who you are, then by nature, you'll probably bet on your strengths. If you bet on your strengths, you'll win.
Right.
In 4th grade, when I got an F in Mr. Molinar's science class, I knew right then and there that I was a shit student and I didn't give a crap about Saturn. And no joke, from that moment on, I can taste it in my mouth right now. I remember everything about this day. I hid the test in my drawer because I needed to get it signed. This was old school 80s school stuff.
Yeah.
And like, I didn't show my mom, and then my conscience got the best of me and I cried, and it was all weird. But what I remember more than anything was at that moment, because I'd already done lemonade and I already like sold random stuff around the house door to door, I was like, I'm a businessman. That's what I called it back then. And that's it. And I'm never gonna hedge. And it came from self-awareness and self-esteem, right? My mom was making me feel good,
Right.
and I knew who I was, and I would tell you that is urgency, speed matters.
Yeah.
I believe in that, but if somebody who's listening, watching right now, if they really know who they are, if my daughter wants to stand outside and do street art for 19 hours a day, I'm all in, as long as like she's aware that that's what's going to make her the happiest, right? Like, I got lucky that the thing that made me the happiest by public standards is something that makes me money and makes me deemed successful.
Sure.
But boy, I'd be super pumped being all in on anything, right? Like, as long as you just know.
If you were to choose just one part of your personality to develop that would virtually guarantee your success, persistence would be your choice. Persistence is going to keep you going in the face of almost every obstacle that you can imagine. It is based upon your focus being directed towards the positive polarity in life. Its negative brother will bring you nothing but miserable disappointments, heartache, and tears. His name, of course, is stubbornness. So you want to stay on the positive polarity. It's a well-documented fact that a high percentage of all goals that are set are abandoned, usually fairly early. Numerous dreams fade and are lost because this one great quality has never been developed. And it's not that people don't try, they do. However, for the most part, individuals who fail to develop persistence are operating with a misconception, which very likely results from their ignorance of the law of cause and effect. That's a law that Emerson referred to as the law of laws. Now, it's generally believed that a lack of persistence is caused by a weak willpower. Build an image in your mind of a hypothetical individual. We'll let this person be represented by our mind-body illustration that we've been using. Then say this person also believes that a weak willpower is the cause of a lack of persistence. Now, this person could be attempting to win a battle that's never going to be won. The cause of their problem lies in the image that they're emotionally involved with. You see, their problem is then compounded with the false belief that their behavior is the primary cause of their unwanted result.
Sometimes we have to ask ourselves, what's using my life? Behave, think, react because of some previous experience that we've had. One of the things that we know about life is that it is always changing.
Behavior is always a secondary cause of results. The primary cause of a result is the image that is firmly planted in the subconscious mind, which must be expressed in behavior. I want you to realize that. You take a look at results, you've got to clearly understand that behavior is a secondary cause. We say behavior causes results, and it does.
Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. Sometimes things go real well, and sometimes they don't. Sometimes you're happy, and sometimes you're sad. Now that's that thing called life.
The imagination is going to win hands down every time. I'm not suggesting the will does not have to be developed. It does. It must become highly developed. However, the will always directs you toward the image you are emotionally involved with. Think of a person who is 50 pounds overweight. That shouldn't be too difficult for you. And you've just met this person and they've gone on a diet to lose weight. 5 years later, they're 50 pounds overweight, and they're still going on a diet to lose weight. They honestly believe that their problem is a lack of willpower because they persist to adhere to the habitual behavior, the unwanted behavior of eating the forbidden fruit. This person has failed to create an image of the new result they desire, a vision of themselves at their perfect weight. And therefore, they've never properly planted such an image in their subconscious mind.
That you're going to have some ups and you're going to have some downs. But during those down moments, that's where the growth takes place. That's where the work is. See, anybody can feel good when they have their health, their bills are paid, they have happy relationships. Anybody could be positive then. Anybody can have a larger vision then. Anybody can have faith under those kinds of circumstances. The real challenge of growth, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, comes when you get knocked down.
Now, their willpower is working probably very well, but it is directing them toward the expression of the old unwanted image that they're still emotionally involved with. See, the old image is being expressed through their behavioral patterns that'll cause the repeated manifestation of the old image. And they get the same results over and over and over and over again. They're on a diet forever. The individual's real problem is a lack of understanding of what is causing the results that they're getting in their life. Results they do not want, the results they're attempting to change. They view their behavior as the cause of their unwanted results. And they repeatedly attempt to be persistent in changing those behavioral patterns, but fail time and time again. You see, their habitual behavior is a natural expression of the image that's deeply planted in their subconscious mind. There's not a person alive who is able to persist in the change of a behavior without altering the image which is causing that behavior.
Are you going through it or are you growing through it? Are you bigger and better because of it? Because it's not going to leave you until you grow through it. As you're in the process of reinventing your life, write a description of the kind of person that you want to be. What are the things that you must overcome? What qualities about your personality you know that you're going to have to change because those particular characteristics are liabilities to you? What are your assets? What are your strong points? Take full responsibility for your life. Accept where you are and the responsibility that you're going to take yourself where you want to go.
When you're attempting to change behavior, your persistence must be continually connected to your desired vision. A vision that you're emotionally involved with. Your intellectual factors hold the potential for enormous good when they're properly employed. However, you must remember that everything has an opposite. And any one of your intellectual factors can turn without warning into a destructive, lethal enemy when they're not directed towards the results that are wanted. You see, it's not difficult to find an individual who's persistently doing what they don't want to do and achieving results they don't want to achieve. A lack of persistence is not their problem. How they're using their persistence is. Ignorance and paradigms are the enemy that we must defeat. Everyone is persistent. Our objective must be to put persistence to work for us rather than against us.
And you can either let it destroy your life or you can build upon it. You can decide that you're going to stand up to life. You can decide that I'm going to live each day as if it were my last. You have the power to make that decision. You can decide I'm going to work on myself and develop myself. I'm going to empower me. It doesn't matter about what happens to you. What matters is, what are you going to do about it? So part of beginning to get unstuck, you've got to decide that the behavior pattern that you have adopted doesn't work for you. You've got to change your strategies, and changing your strategy means reinventing your life. Recreating you, and you have the power to do that. You must have faith. Paul said you must have the faith to call forth those things that be not as though they were. Judge not according to appearances. Don't judge your circumstances and the possibilities for your future based upon what you have now and because of what's going on now. No, 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 no. That's not the real reality there. What you're going through, if you're going through some hard times, it has not come to stay, it has come to pass.
No, I've actually always found something to be very true, which is most people don't get those experiences because they never ask. I've never found anybody that didn't want to help me if I asked them for help.
No matter how bad it is or how bad it gets, I'm going to make it. So you've got to have faith. You talk to yourself. You say that affirmation. The next step is you must have patience and engage in consistent action.
I've never found anyone who said no or hung up the phone when I call. I just asked. And when people ask me, I try to be as responsive, to pay that debt of gratitude back. Most people never pick up the phone and call. Most people never ask. And that's what separates sometimes the people that do things from the people that just dream about them. You gotta act. And you've got to be willing to fail. You've got to be willing to crash and burn. With people on the phone, with starting a company, with whatever.
Patience and engage in consistent action. See, everything does not always happen, ladies and gentlemen, when we want it to happen.
How do I know which of the voices in my head, because we all have conversations in our heads, which of these voices is my heart? How do I know when I'm following my heart and not following something else? So to answer that, the very first thing I want to bring to your awareness is you've got 3 brains in your body. Of course, this is my rendition of it. You've got your head brain, heart brain, and you've got your balls brain. If you look at the brain itself, it's actually set up in 3 different parts. You've got 3 different parts to your brain. You got your neocortex, cortex, and medulla. And they sort of correlate with the head brain, the heart, and the balls. For today's purposes, we're going to talk about the head brain versus the heart. When are you following your heart and when are you following your head? Or when are you following the ego or following love? Okay, very strong distinction that needs to be recognized before you make a big decision in your life. So, very first thing you got to recognize is that the part of your conversation in your head that is rational, logical, mathematical, that makes sense, that's factual, that is based on what other people have told you, historical, that is your head brain. That is your head brain giving you all of the evidence, all of the concrete support for the decision you're about to make. 2 + 2 = 4. It's a no-brainer, right? That's what they call a no-brainer. It's very obvious. The part of that conversation that's completely irrational, completely illogical, makes absolutely no sense. 2 + 2 = 17 or 0, right? That part of the conversation that's also tied to the emotion of what you're about to choose. Man, this feels right. But on paper, it looks stupid. On paper, it doesn't make any sense. It's not factual, it's not mathematical, but it feels right. That is your heart. And in the same way that you have to fall in love, heart's associated with love, you've got to fall into that decision. Nobody rationally chooses, makes a concrete, evidence-supported choice to fall in love. That's why they call this shit falling. You have to let go and completely fall into that situation. Well, the same way you've let yourself fall into love, which is scary, very important. The reason why they call it falling is because there's nothing comforting about falling. It's scary shit. You completely have let go and you're gonna fall on your back or on your face, right? Why do you think they say fall in love? The same way that you give up the rational explanation and the need for mathematical evidence to fall in love is the same way you're going to make that decision based on your heart. You can make that decision to quit your job because there's a creative adventure that you'd like to take on, travel the world, whatever it is. There are things that every one of us has deep within our hearts that makes no sense whatsoever that we want to go do. The point is, you're following your heart when you're scared. That's when you know you're following your heart.
It doesn't happen quickly. So in that process, they have something in the Far East called the Chinese bamboo tree. The Chinese bamboo tree, every day it has to be watered and fertilized. It's a very hard nut, and it takes 5 years of watering and fertilization every day, according to American Geographics, before it breaks through the ground. At any time, if the watering process and the nurturing and the fertilization process is stopped, the Chinese bamboo tree will die in the ground. Now, once it breaks through in that 5th year, then in 6 weeks it grows 90 feet tall. Now the question is, does it grow 90 feet in 5 years or 6 weeks? The answer is obvious. It takes 5 years. That's how long it took to grow it, to build that foundation, to nurture it, to water it, to build the reputation, to build the credibility, to learn the market, to learn people, to learn yourself, to learn the system, to learn how to do it, to figure it out. That's why you must have patience and engage in consistent action. We live in a world, ladies and gentlemen, where people want instant gratification. They want it right now. They want to be a Dexter Yeager, but they're not willing to pay the price to do what it takes to get up there where Dick Hopper is. Where Bryant or Judy is. They think it was easy. No. It's simple, but it's not easy. It's a system that if you work the system, it works if you work it. But make no mistake about it, it's hard. And you are the determining factor. It's possible you can live your dream. It's necessary that you have goals, that you write them down, that you surround yourself with a support team, that you are creative. It's you that you must take personal responsibility to make it happen. George Bernard Shaw said, the people that make it in this world look around for the circumstances that they want, and if they can't find them, they create them. It's hard. No, easy is not an option. However, ladies and gentlemen, what you will discover is that it's worth it.
So you got to look at your dreams and goals, and if you've been running into a wall, it doesn't mean that you can't get through. It means that you need to find someone who's on the other side, or find someone who knows someone who's on the other side. Remember, I said you got to have passion and drive, and you've got to have persistence and perseverance and people and projects. What do you mean projects? Well, that was a big deal to be on Raul Schuler's program. How do we discover our greatness? By upgrading our relationships and by having goals that's beyond our comfort zone. Why? Because it causes you to reinvent yourself. Brian Tracy calls it the danger zone. You want to do something you've never done. So being on his program was a big deal for me. Powered by you. You got an idea? You have a dream? Ladies and gentlemen, you've got to take responsibility to make it happen. Your dream, your life, going to the next level will be powered by you. Don't put your destiny in anybody's hand. Nobody's going to care more about your dream than you. Nobody.
Become a risk taker. They're risk takers. They don't mind failing. They don't mind making mistakes. They're willing to take life on, take life in the collar.
Nobody's going to work on your stuff more than you.
You're not willing to risk, you cannot grow. And if you cannot grow, you cannot become your best. And if you cannot become your best, you can't be happy. And if you can't be happy, then what else is there?
Your life is powered by you.
You've got to believe in yourself. You've got to believe in your abilities. You've got to believe in your service, your company, your ideas. Unquestionably, you must have faith. It's hard. Yes, it's hard. It's difficult. Yes, right. And it's worth it.